Blood in the neck is drained into the brachiocephalic veins, which then drain into the superior vena cava. The external jugular vein is found superficial to the SCM. The posterior branch of the retromandibular vein drains blood from the jaw and the lateral skull. The posterior auricle vein drains blood from the posterior and superior areas of the skull with respect to the ear. The posterior auricle and posterior branch of the retromandibular form the external jugular vein, which drains into the subclavian vein. The subclavian vein then drains into the brachiocephalic vein. The anterior jugular vein is a branch off of the submental vein. It drains blood from the communicating vein of the internal jugular vein and drains into the subclavian vein. The internal jugular vein is found deep to the SCM and communicates directly with the brachiocephalic vein. It drains blood from the common facial vein, which is made up of the submental vein from the jaw, the dorsolingual vein that courses medial to the hypoglossus muscle, and the anterior branch of the retromandibular vein. It also drains blood from the occipital vein and the superior and middle thyroid veins. Here we see a good depiction of where the anterior and external jugular veins drain into the subclavian vein. Here's where the anterior jugular vein was cut, and here was where the external jugular vein was cut. The subclavian vein and the internal jugular vein drain into the brachiocephalic vein. The lymphatic drainage of the neck can be broken down into anterior and posterior ear. The occipital and mastoid nodes are found posterior to the ear and will drain into superficial cervical lymph nodes. The parotid, submandibular, and submental nodes are found anterior to the ear and will drain directly into deep cervical lymph nodes. Superficial cervical nodes drain into deep cervical nodes, which form a lymphatic trunk that follows the course of the internal jugular vein. On the left side of the neck, the lymph drains to the thoracic duct. Here we see the parotid, the submandibular, and the submental nodes of the anterior ear, the occipital and mastoid nodes of the posterior ear. The deep cervical nodes drain to the jugular lymphatic trunk that joins the thoracic duct. The thoracic duct then drains into the brachiocephalic vein at the left venous angle. On the right side, lymph drains to the right lymphatic duct. We see the occipital and mastoid nodes, the parotid, submandibular, and submental nodes draining into the right lymphatic duct, which drains into the right brachiocephalic vein at the right venous angle.